109th running of the Indy 500 at the old Brickyard. This is going to be cool. You like auto racing?
Hell yeah.
You're going to watch auto racing. We're all going to watch auto racing. Indy 500. A little bit of controversy. Green flags and a black flag. This is a stunning, stunning story. Let's first of all talk about the race. A pole sitter we've never heard of before. Nobody's heard of this guy. And he showed up. Had never driven on an oval in a race ever. Comes from Russia and from Israel. Was a Formula One test driver. Hooked up on a one-race contract with a newly formed team. And when they were done qualifying last Sunday night, he was on the pole for this Sunday afternoon's Indy 500. His name is Robert Schwartzman. Absolutely amazing. Never been on an oval before. He ran a 2:32 average over the 4 qualifying laps. He blew the field away. Takuma Saito, Japanese star, great veteran driver. He's won this race twice in a very up and down career. He's going to start second on the front row of the grid. The third one is Mr. Heartbreak, Pato O'Ward out of Mexico. He's finished this thing twice. He's led this thing multiple times only to crash or have bad luck or make a mistake on the track. 2 second-place finishers. He's going to start outside first row. Other big names, Scott Dixon, legendary driver out of New Zealand. He will start inside on the second row, the 4th position. Alex Palou, who has won 4 of the 5 IndyCar races this season. Spectacular driver, no fear. He's going to start in the midst of the second row. Scott McLaughlin, who won it last year, crashed, had to rebuild his entire car, got back in a rebuilt new-look car, qualified 10th. NASCAR driver Kyle Larson, whom everybody's paid a lot of attention to because this guy goes fast. He crashed early in the week in practice. He came back, only qualified 17th, but it's a 500-mile race. If he stays out of trouble, he's worth watching. Colton Herta, hot driver. Not been able to get to the winner's circle in the Indy 500. He crashed, wound up qualifying 26th. So that's one piece of the equation. Schwartzman is the pole sitter. It's amazing. Nobody has ever seen anything like this before. The second piece of the story involves Team Penske. You know the name Roger Penske, legendary owner. His teams have won the 500 20 times over the course of his career. You know Roger Penske. He bought Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You know Roger Penske, marketing guru. His group puts on the Indy 500. 2 top drivers for Team Penske ran hottest laps the whole month of May, getting ready to qualify, got DQ'd. Joseph Newgarden and Will Power. Newgarden's won back-to-back Indy 500s. Will Power is a legendary driver who's won the 500 out of Australia from down under. Both had illegal pieces on the back wing impacting downforce packages. Chip Ganassi Racing, as those cars were being rolled out to qualify, went to IndyCar officials and said, that's illegal. They pulled the cars off the line and would not let them qualify. They took them to the back of the pack in disciplinary action, ordered them because they had run fast times, ordered them to start 32nd and 33rd back row. And then on top of that, IndyCar fined them $200,000, stripped them of all their points, suspended their crew chiefs and managers for the Indy 500. And if that's not enough, Roger Penske, the day after the sanctions were handed down to Newgarden and Power, fired the top 3 executives from Penske Racing. Longtime president, longtime CEO, longtime manager, all gone. Roger Penske said the integrity of this race and this organization is the most important thing of all. So, it has been a wild week at Indianapolis, and we have not even dropped the green flag because we got all these black flag incidents going on. So we got the Indy 500 to talk about. And if that's not enough, we need a race to get ready for the race. Because in the early morning hours on Sunday, the marquee event on the Formula One schedule, the Grand Prix of Monaco, is going to be run early Sunday morning, West Coast time. And this will be the 70th edition of the Grand Prix of Monaco. And what makes this race so unique, they are still running on the same street course that they ran back in 1929 when the first race was ever run. Question: how can they pass these high-powered, bigger cars? How can they pass on these tight streets? The second question: what can F1 do to make it a more competitive race rather than everybody just chase the pole sitter? Well, they did make a change. They've mandated every team has to pit twice in this race. So you're going to get a shuffling of the cars during the race while they're pitting. And every team has to use 3 different sets of tires. Tire compounds are different. If it rains, then you use wet tires. It's going to be very interesting to see who survives the changes in this course. It is a beautiful course. It's tight, and you run right along the sidewalks in Monaco with the barriers there. I mean, it's a phenomenal experience. And of course, you got Oscar Piastris, who has won 3 races in a row. You got Max Verstappen, who's there. You got Lewis Hamilton, who finished 4th last week, and all of a sudden with Ferrari believes that they may have figured some things out. So the Grand Prix of Monaco is so different than anything they ever experience any other place on the F1 schedule because it's really just on the streets. So this is going to be fun. So I don't know what the hell you're doing Sunday, but I'm watching the Grand Prix of Monaco, taking a deep breath and coming back and watch the Indy 500. We'll see if the weather holds up in Indianapolis with all the violent storms they've had. And if the sun comes out and if they bake that track, it's a very different race. If it's windy, it's really tough on the drivers to control cars with the turbulence and all that. And if it's cloudy and overcast, real fast times because the track runs differently under cloud cover than it does when it bakes all day. So, John, I'm going to green flag you. Topics on the table. You're talking auto racing. Go ahead.
Talking auto racing. So the Monaco Grand Prix is fantastic. I mean, the views on that course, because it's right there on the Mediterranean.
Yep.
And you got these hot babes in the yachts, and it's all kind of integrated in there. That's going to be fantastic. But I think Verstappen won last week, didn't he? Didn't they race up in northern Italy?
Yes.
And Lewis, I was watching part of that race, and Lewis Hamilton, was, I think he started like around 9 or 10, but he finished, I think, 4th. Yeah, so he made a nice leap forward. So maybe he can get this Ferrari team back in order here. Are they still having trouble coordinating all the technology?
He maintains no. He says, we figured it out. Well, that was a 4th place finish, but up until that point in time, his finishes have been terrible with this new race team. But again, we spin back to the big question. When you're running on the streets, how do you pass? And that's a big issue. You got these high-powered cars in and out of turns and on streets. How do you pass? So, and obviously pit strategy now that they've mandated everybody's got to make 2 stops and change tires, use 3 different sets of tires. That's going to come into a role here. So, I know, rich and famous, you've been there.
Yeah,
Monte
right.
Carlo, this is going to be cool. What do you think about the 500? What do you think about Penske? What do you think of the controversy?
Well, Penske is an interesting character because not only does he own the Indy 500, he owns the IndyCar League. He has an IndyCar team, but I've seen like rental trucks for Penske out there, So this guy is all over the place in the world of automotive. So you got to tip a hat to him for that. But, when this whole controversy broke, I guess it was some kind of a thing on the wing, right?
The rear wing for downforce. That was the big issue. That you're not allowed to make adjustments on the rear wing, which impacts the air dynamic that keeps the car sucked to the track. But drivers have come out and said, whatever was done doesn't change the car. It doesn't add 3 miles an hour to the speed. They think that IndyCar has grossly overreacted, and Colton Herta was shocked that Penske would fire his top 3 executives from his entire race team because of this issue. But integrity is obviously a piece of the equation too. So, I mean, you take those 2 fast guys, Newgarden, who's won this 2 years in a row, and Will Power, who's a great driver, and you position them at the back end of the grid. They start 32 and 33. Now, granted, it's 500 miles. You know how much traffic these guys got to go through to try to get to the front? I mean, it is a stunning story. But Penske is a tremendous entrepreneur, businessman, and a man of great, great credentials. And he made the decision. He didn't take his cars out of the race, but he positioned them to the point that I don't know how they can get to the front and run 500 miles and think they could win. But he did it for the integrity of the sport.
You know, it's interesting how technical all of these race car drivers and their teams are, keeping track of engines and tires and all this stuff. And then some little gizmo on the aero wing throws everything off. So if I'm Penske, I would be rightfully angry with my team, my general manager, my pit crew guys, whoever the friggin' decided to put this gizmo on there, even if it doesn't necessarily help. I mean, you got to stay within the rules, right?
The rules are the rules.
Yeah.
Green flag Sunday. You're in Indy car racing. You can join us. We do a fans forum segment.